Hi everyone. This is our. Well, I think it was actually the seventh. I thought last week's was the seventh, but it was the sixth. Our seventh C-19 government update and Q&As. There's very little this week, just because there's been so little happening. We did think there was going to be a few items coming through, but they are not actually being clarified at this point, and that was on the furlough. So I'm just going to go straight into what we have because there is very little. So I am just going to stop showing that, and then I'm going to just bring on another screen. So this is literally what is happening. Hopefully you can see the right screen there. So with what's actually been introduced is nothing really this week. The big thing that we had thought was going to come through on Monday was that we were going to get clarification of the furlough, what it was going to be post July. So their thought was it was going to be down from the 80, so down to 60, 50, 40 or something like that, that they would contribute and people would be able to work part-time as well. But we haven't got any clarification on that. That will probably come in June now. What we have got a little bit of clarification on is employees being allowed to go on holiday whilst on furlough and how that should operate. So the clarification, I'll get Steve just to go through that after I've just mentioned the third thing that I was just going to mention, which is actually the middle one on my slide. But that is just that the SEIS is going to come to an end. That's those who are sole traders, self-employed. So you will only, so far, unless they extend it, have that from the 31st of from the 1st of March to the 31st of May this year. So that's going to come to an end. You've only just been able to claim that as such as of last week, and whenever it has been claimed, or it should take 6 days for that to come through. The other thing is we can't actually do that claim, and Steve will actually elaborate on that in a minute as well, why that is. And we have stated this before, but that's the main things. So let me just stop sharing that, and I'll come to you. So a few questions that we did have, the ones that we did have was on SEIS, could we do it for them? Now, Steve, I'll let you sort of explain why we cannot do that for them.
Well, the main reason why we can't do that for them is the system is specifically set up so the claim is made by the individual, and it requires the individual to agree to certain statements, unlike the job retention scheme claims where we are making declarations on behalf of our clients, and the scheme is actually set up so that it is us as agents saying that we have confirmation from our clients that the grant is allowable. For the self-employment scheme, it is literally the individual that is being asked to make the statements, and obviously if we made those statements on their behalf, that would actually be a fraudulent act, which is something we obviously can't be involved in. We're happy to help, we're happy to talk through doing the claims, but we can't actually do it because essentially we would have to be claiming to be our clients in order to do it, which we can't. And from a more practical point of view, if we were to do it on our client's behalf, the HMRC systems, they do pick up some information about where claims are being made from. And if a claim is being made, if several claims were being made from our computers, HMRC would flag that up, not unreasonably, as is indication that fraudulent activity was taking place, because you would normally only expect a single claim to come from an individual computer, and that potentially would actually have the opposite desired effect. Us doing the claim on client's behalf would actually delay the claim because it would set off a fraud alert, and obviously HMRC are not going to be paying anything out when they think that that fraud is a possibility. So unfortunately, we can't do it on our client's behalf because the system is simply not set up for agents to do it. But if anybody is really struggling, we're happy to provide video, phone support to get the claim done if that needs to be done.
Thank you. Thanks. Hopefully everybody's actually been able to get online and claim that if they are at the moment. We don't have many of you doing it, to be honest, but it's always worth having a look. Question just come in from Mark, is that he's potentially got a low value job. How will it affect his furlough payment? Now, the next question is, should you take it? But I'm afraid we won't be able to tell you exactly, but we can tell you how it would operate, taking that.
Right. I mean, from the point of view of furlough, if you start doing work for customers, regardless of the value, then essentially that would bring the furlough period to an end. Now, what is possible is if you've got this low value job and then you've got nothing after that, it's possible to go back on furlough again. The minimum furlough period at the moment has to be 3 weeks. So it's a case of you could come off furlough, so stop doing the furlough claim for the period it takes you to do this job, then go back on furlough immediately afterwards. As to whether it's worthwhile, it's probably more a case of does doing this job get you more money than you are getting through the furlough scheme? Because essentially the furlough scheme is intended to be there to provide funds when you haven't got anything else coming in. So from a purely business tax point of view, are you going to be better off from doing this job, or are you going to be better off from staying on furlough? But I mean, looking at it from a non-business point of view, is actually getting out and doing some work going to be something that's good for you for your mental health? Because we are in Mental Health Awareness Week at the moment. I know a lot of people are struggling with that. It may be worth taking on the job simply to feel that you're doing something that there will be things to do with the in the business later, that business will get back to normal at some point.
Yeah, very good point, Steve. And one thing is just work out the daily rate for the furlough, because it is a daily rate. So you can, how long is it going to take the job? So if it's going to take 2 days, well, you come off furlough for 2 days and then you go back on. So you will just have to let us know that, and we can then take that into account when we furlough you. Oh, by the way, everyone, that furloughing is a lot more difficult than you ever thought. It's not so straightforward. Payroll is so much easier than the furloughing. So just because everything has to be typed in every single month. We did it obviously last month, and we thought it was just going to be remembering everything. It doesn't remember a thing, so we have to do it all again. So interesting. That's the situation. We've obviously done the furloughing. Jason's been contacting everybody on the furlough, so he's done a great job there. So that's all gone out virtually. I think there may be just a few of you waiting today, tomorrow. So that will all come through next week or this week. I'm not sure how quickly it will come through. They said very quickly. So that's on the furloughing side. So have a look. Let us know, Mark, what you decide, because it'll be interesting. I think there'll be a lot more of this now as we're coming out of lockdown and people are starting to work. I've noticed a lot more cars, like I mentioned last week, but I went to the Bakers this morning on my run, and there's loads of cars there. Very interesting. We've even had Dee back in the office this week. She's coming in again, so she'll have been in twice this week, just because she wants to have a break from working from home, and she can't actually work from home whilst her partner is there. So that's the issue there. Another question that we've had, and I want to let Steve answer this as well, is we have people that work from home that, and we've had this question coming up quite a bit, and they are limited companies, they work for themselves, sole directors. Can they get a grant, the small business grant?
Unfortunately, sole director limited companies is the one group that has very much slipped through the net of almost all the schemes, with the possible exception of the furlough scheme, and the funds from the furlough scheme are enormously good there. Because working through a limited company, whilst in practical terms is very much like a self-employment, in legal terms it isn't a self-employment. Directors are employed by the company, and it's the company that does the work. And equally, the business grants, the business rates grants, they all rely on actually having business premises that would be liable to business rates, or indeed are liable to business rates, but are eligible for things like the small business rates relief. And unfortunately, working from home to do that, and indeed having your home registered as a business office could actually render your home liable for business rates. So whilst in the short term that might be considered a beneficial thing, in the long term you will probably almost certainly end up out of pocket by having the home office registered as a formal office environment. And at the moment, no, there's no sign of them offering anything more, which unfortunately means, apart from the furlough scheme, there isn't really any support out there for individual limited companies. I know there's been a lot of lobbying on it, but given nothing has happened so far, I would be surprised if they brought anything new in this late in the day. So unfortunately, it's there are gaps, and sole trader limited companies are sadly one of the big ones.
Yeah, and that is a good point. It's that we have got a lot of support. There will always be people that the support isn't going to help just because of the way they operate or the timings and everything. So that's the main question there. I don't know. I mean, we have had a few questions just on furloughing again. I mean, we don't know what's happening going forward after July. So we know up to July it's 8%. We don't know after that. As soon as we do, we'll have a blog on it, and we'll also be mentioning it in this webinar. So that's the main one there. For me, the big thing through all this is just be positive. There are opportunities out there of looking at your business, what you're doing and operating, how you can make it work as well. A lot of people are. There is a lot of bad news, obviously, with business, like Rolls-Royce losing business, but that's because in their aero industry, they're not going to probably get back on track for 3 years, and that'll be in all over. EasyJet are starting back flying. I think it was in June or July. I just read today. So I don't know how that's going to operate. That will be interesting. But there, just be aware. It's worth looking at your business, seeing what you can do. Just one thought. I don't know if you've got anything else, Steve. I was just gonna pass on a quote.
There was the query last week about furloughs and holidays. Now, since then, found the government has quite recently released some guidance on that, and all of our clients that have employees, we're wanting them to take holiday during the furlough to ensure that they don't have a lot of holiday once it's over. They should have already received a link to that and a brief summary of it, but it can be found on our website. It is at the moment the most recent blog post. So if you get along to nayloraccountancy.com, you'll see a link at the bottom of the front page that will take you to that, which is a summary of the provisions, and there's a link through to the more detailed ones as well. But essentially, employees can take holiday whilst on furlough, and if the employee does take holiday, you're still able to claim the 80%. It doesn't break the furlough period, but the employee themselves has to be paid 100% of their wages for those days. That's our designated holiday. It is also possible for employers to require employees to take holidays. Now, this is sort of more a legal question rather than an accounting one, but if you follow through the link on the blog post, you'll see there are notice periods. You have minimum statutory notice periods you have to give in order to require employees to take holidays, and there may well be additional provisions in any employment contracts you have. So have a look at the blog post, have a look at the statutory position, check your employment contracts, and if you think getting employees to use up some of their holiday allowance during the furlough is the best thing for your business, then follow through from there. There are also new provisions being brought in to allow holiday to be carried forward, because there is the acceptable possibility that just a lot of holiday will end up being accrued when the furlough is done. Normally there are restrictions on that, but again, they've brought in special legislation that allows for holidays to be carried forward rather than having to be taken in the year. So read the blog post and follow through to the detailed guidance. And if you want to be providing for any employees for your holidays, let us know so we can adjust any payroll figures accordingly.
Yeah, and the big takeaway there is the fact that you can furlough and you just have to pay 20% if they take holiday and they're on holiday. So it's costing you an extra 20%. If you don't have them, your furloughed people, holidaying now whilst they are furloughed, you will have to be paying the full salary whenever they take that holiday and lose that day's work. So it is actually, as a business, worth looking at trying to work out what holidays you would like your team that are furloughed to take currently, especially with it being holiday. And if we go to October and you end up furloughing them all the way to October, that's a lot of holiday. So then they will come back to work and not be able to work. So it is key as a business to look at your holiday and be prepared to pay that extra 20% now during the furlough, so that they actually can take that holiday now. As Steve said, you can actually force them to take it as well, but you have to look at the legalities of that and have a look at our blog for that. So very good point, Steve. Thanks for bringing that up before I closed the meeting. I had it on my list, but I actually skipped it. Okay, well, unless there's any questions, just put them in the box. But if they're not, I'm just going to leave you with one quote. It's not an amazing quote. It's almost like a saying that we all do, where it's no matter what you're going through, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And this is in light of it, everything that's going with COVID-19. We're all got businesses. We're all trying to make it work however we can. And there will be light at the end of the tunnel. It won't maybe be the same way as it was before, but we can always look at the making things better and making it work better for us going forward. And also with it being Mental Health Week, which I hadn't appreciated, Steve, so thanks for bringing that up, then it actually fits in with that as well. Steve, have you got anything else to add? Oh, Steve, I think you're on mute.
No, apart from today is Happy Ascension Day, so getting a Happy Ascension Day on Bruce. So thank you for that, and Happy Ascension Day to you as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I've always put some key things in that I know.
And I must learn how to put the accent on the O there.
Yes, no, it's not easy doing the accents. I try and do it for the Danish, and it's still not easy. I still can't do it. I have to press something and then put a load of numbers in, and then it comes up. I'm sure it's easier for Spanish, Bruce, because that's a bit more spoken than Danish. Anyway, guys, have a really good weekend. Lovely to have this little chat with you all, and enjoy the weather. Hopefully it will stay like this. I'm really warm. I'm gonna have to change my top into something that's a bit lighter, but my Hawaiian shirts don't really go on these webinars. Anyway, take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.